Hi, I'm Chrisann Parr with Backyard Records. Today in our backyard, we welcome singer-songwriter Elaine Ryan. Elaine has traveled from Vancouver to tell us about her new album, Songs from the River. Hi, Elaine.
Hi.
From Vancouver?
That's right.
Pretty good musical vibe up there?
There is, yeah, it's a good city.
Well, we're glad to have you today with us in our backyard. So talk to me a little bit about your inspiration, what drew you to music?
I've always been singing. I've sung pretty much since I could speak. But there was one time when I was 14, I was visiting Ireland, which is where I was born, and I saw Ani DeFranco play, and she's from New York, she's from Buffalo, and I saw her up on stage, and she was just wailing away on the guitar, and I thought, I gotta do that, I gotta be like her, and so I decided to learn the guitar. But before that, definitely my mom encouraged me to sing, and she knew that I loved that and encouraged that in me, and my younger brother's also a musician too.
So guitar wasn't so much brought to you by your family members, that was the singing portion, but it was that concert in England?
In Ireland.
Ireland.
In Galway, yeah, the Galway Arts Festival.
And you were only 14?
That's right.
And it just hit you and you said, that's just got to be me.
Yeah, it was this tiny little room and there were maybe 100 people there. And she's pretty famous and she was in the States at the time. And it was just amazing to be in this really small space with such an amazing musician.
Was it the intimacy? I mean, that really...
Yeah, and she's just such a powerful storyteller and songwriter.
Well, you hear the storytelling in your lyrics, too, which we're going to talk about today. So, obviously, she was an influence maybe with your writing as well?
Definitely with songwriting, yeah.
What about the diverse experience? You talked about being in Ireland, born in Ireland, but you've got some pretty wide, diverse experience, Guatemala, Spain. Tell us about that.
Well, since I was born in Ireland, I do have an EU passport, and that means that I can work in any European country. And so that sort of got me traveling, first going back to visit relatives, and then I worked for a summer in the south of France, and I busked on trams in Switzerland for a summer, and I also worked in an orphanage in Guatemala.
Do you hear these inspirations in your songs, in your music?
Definitely. I mean, Guatemala was pretty rich with a new cultural experience for me. It was very different from anything I've known. And Spain as well. I wrote some songs while I was in Spain. I went there to learn to dance flamenco, which is just a beautiful dance form. And I think what I really learned there was how to be confident and be feminine at the same time, because that's really, I think, what that dance form embodies.
Elaine, you did a song entitled Dream of Peace. This was part of a charity compilation in support of the Martin Luther King Foundation?
That's right.
Share that with us.
So this song, Dream of Peace, is a song that I wrote initially because it meant a lot to me in terms of inner peace and peace among friends. And then it also has layers of meaning in terms of global peace. And I think Martin Luther King's mission was one of peace. And so that's probably why the song got picked to be on this compilation.
Elaine, it's really unique that you're Canadian, yet you were a part of this song, this compilation, about a very historical American figure in history.
Yeah. Well, in terms of American history, I think Martin Luther King is important because of his role in racial politics. And in Canada, I think, and all over the world, mainly he's known for his nonviolent approach to problem solving. And I think that's been something that has had a lasting impression all over the world. But yes, it was a very big honor as a Canadian to be chosen for the project.
Well, Elaine, that must have been quite an honor.
It was.
Let's talk a little bit about your new album. It's entitled Songs from the River. Can you describe it for us in just a few words that really sum it up? Too many, huh?
I would say it's moist. No, I'm kidding. It's thoughtful, mellow, and...
How about real?
Yeah, real.
Because in listening to some of your lyrics, I think a lot of people can just really relate to them.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Tell us about some of the songs that are on the album. Can you list a few for us?
Well, there's A Simple Love. September Promise is one of the songs. And Diesel, Prison Break, The River, which is the title track. Tea, The Aching, Still on My Mind, Trial by Fire.
Was there any one particular song that was harder to put together than another that stands out?
Oh, they all just came together, at different points in time, but...
Like a puzzle, the pieces just came.
They did, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Let's talk about September Promise, because I listened to that song, and the lyrics are just powerful, emotional. The promise, that's what's, I guess you could say, unique about the piece. Mm-hmm. What is the promise?
Well, the promise is really a promise to trust in love. And for me, I had been burned pretty badly by a couple of relationships. And when I wrote the song, I was just embarking on a new, good relationship with a really great man. And yet I was paralyzed with anxiety. I think because it was so different from my previous relationships, and I'd sort of gotten into this pattern of being with men who were not good to me. And for some reason, that was a pattern that, although it was unhealthy, was comfortable for me. And so then when I got into this new pattern with someone who truly loved me, a lot of emotion came up and a lot of fears came up. And I'm not sure what it was about, but I basically just made this promise to stick with it for a good year or two and really just see what was going on. And that's been the best decision I've ever made.
We're not as free as we thought we were on an early August day, when my past gets in the way of my peace of mind. But we're gonna be just fine. And I know that you got your pain, but you can let go of them worries now. Let me explain. See, there's a drunken jailer in my chest. He thinks he's keeping me safe, but I'm under arrest for a crime that I did not do. But I will break through the bars of this ribcage to get to you, to get to you. See, I will love you until the end, and we were together before we even met. 'Cause there's a fire, and we were fashioned one with the other out of it. Well, I've been down a fearsome road before, and now the danger's gone, but still I hear the sirens roar. But if you wait, I'll recognize your gentle touch, your peaceful eyes. Just withstand my rebirthing cries. I'll grow my roots, and then I'll rise. I'll rise. So hold on to your hand. The autumn winds are blowing our little hearts like this and that. But I wouldn't make you stay if I didn't need to, babe. You see, I will love you until the end, and we were together before we even met. 'Cause there's a fire, and we were fashioned one with the other. Of it. A September promise I will keep. A September promise I will keep. September promise I will keep. A September promise I will keep. I will keep.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So many people can relate to those lyrics.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Bearing your soul is something we can connect with there. Let's talk also about Prison Break, because I think maybe there's some real life inspiration here, but I don't know, maybe I'm off here. So who was the inspiration for Prison Break?
I had been working with teenagers doing workshops in some high schools as part of my job as a research assistant at a health organization. And it really brought me back to how it felt to be a high school student and how difficult that can be for some people, for a lot of people, I think. And so that's the first verse. And then the next verse, I'm talking about working at an uninspiring job, a job that you don't like, which for the most part had been my job at the time, working, doing kind of data entry stuff as a research assistant. And then the final verse is about following your dreams and how that too can be very scary, and looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking, wow, how am I going to make ends meet? What are people going to think of me? So that's really what the song's about.
I think we all know that feeling, thinking we're the only ones going through it, but we're not.
Exactly.
Well, let's listen to Prison Break.
I know it feels like prison. I know it feels like hell. On the days when it ain't going well. I know you're tired of crying, and half the time you think you're losing your mind. Seem to see how bad you're suffering. No, they like you less the more you try. Oh, and you wonder if your childhood joy is gone and passed you by. But let me tell you that high school hell is almost over, yeah. You can see freedom right over your shoulder, so hold on just a little longer. Your whole life is waiting for you. I know it feels like prison. I know it feels like hell. On the days when it ain't going well. I know you're tired of feeling numb, when your main reprieve is the donuts and the email, but you're afraid to leave. And they don't seem to see how bad you're suffering. They're following the Joneses or trying to get by. Oh, and you wonder if your teenage hopes have gone and passed you by. Well, let me tell you that office hell, well, it could be over. The dream you want is right over your shoulder, so be brave, be strong. Your only life is waiting for you. I know it feels like stupid. I know it feels like scared, with the mirror throwing back your stare. I know you're tired of feeling you have to justify your lack of straight and narrow, boxed up life. Oh, and now they don't see the joy a new work brings. No, they liked you better when you were cut and dry. Oh, but now you wonder if they'll ever find these beautiful times that are passing them by. You see, our almost over. The bright white light is right over our shoulders, and all that ever mattered was who you loved and how you felt inside.
Such a nice song, Elaine.
Thank you.
You really touched on a lot of real-life undertones there.
Thanks.
Do you ever get into any political undertones with your songs?
I do indeed. Women's issues are definitely something that are important to me, and women's rights, and I think more in our time, the self-esteem of women and that they have good role models is something that's important to me.
And that's something that you put on paper and put into Secrets of Girls.
That's right.
We're going to listen to Secrets of Girls in just a moment, right after this break.
Hello, I'm Neil Shore, and I want to welcome you to Sanders Ridge Vineyard. We are situated on a 150-acre farm settled by my great-great-grandfather in the early 1800s. I planted my vineyard 10 years ago, and today we feature 12 award-winning, estate-grown, and crafted wines, and we're the only vineyard in North Carolina that grow the Muscat Canelli grape. We're open daily for wine tastings from noon till 6, and we serve lunch and supper Thursday through Saturday, and a Sunday brunch. Our restaurant features in-season certified organic vegetables from our farm. If you're the adventurous type, you'll want to try our Big Woods zip line. The canopy tour features 12 lines with 14 stations and a swinging bridge over our pristine oak-growth forest. Come visit us and stay a while. We're located in the heart of the Yadkin Valley wine region at 3200 Round Hill Road, Boonville, North Carolina, 27011. Sanders Ridge Vineyard, where love of life, land, and laughter live.
I'm Chrisann Parr, back in the backyard with Elaine Ryan from Vancouver. We're talking about Secrets of Girls. Are you a history buff?
Well, I did do a degree in international relations, and that included a lot of history and politics.
And it seems from just listening to the song, which our listeners are about to hear, there's an interest to you in women's history, and maybe women's history that's been forgotten?
That's right. Yeah, I really thought about watching TV and movies, how women are stereotyped and the way that they're portrayed, and was wondering where that all came from. And that got me to thinking about how there's not a lot of historical role models except from the past century, but there's not a lot before that for women, and that got me to writing the song.
Inspiration? Just the history books, the media, films?
Yeah, definitely. Being in Montreal when I wrote the song, it was snowing, and that's where the line about snow comes in.
Well, we're really lucky today because we're going to hear you play live in the backyard. I don't have the snow for you, though, Elaine.
That's okay.
All right, here we go. Elaine Ryan, Secrets of Girls.
Don't expect me to know what's normal. Don't expect me to know what's right. Don't expect me to know what's decent. I've been fed your fantasies all my life. The secrets of girls nobody knows, hidden under centuries of snow, shuddered and shaken, torn up and sold, jigsaw pieces strewn about the cold. All that got lost, all that was not carefully collected in that jewelry box, and all I'm left is pieces of what I might love. I see pictures of ravens, but they tell me they're doves. The secrets of girls nobody knows, hidden under centuries of snow, shuddered and shaken, torn up and sold, jigsaw pieces strewn about the cold. Well, I want hot chocolate on a cold day, not as much as I want your warm skin next to me. Yeah, I want Spanish arches and French wine. You're back in the soft light. I want long gazes and helpless cries, music, and you in the night. I know I've been a precious flower, but I'm a wolf girl in my dreams. I know I've been uncertain as the wind, but I am not as clueless as I seem. The secrets of girls nobody knows, hidden under centuries of snow. Shattered and shaken, torn up and sold, jigsaw pieces strewn about the cold. The secrets of girls nobody knows, hidden under centuries of snow. Shattered and shaken, torn up and sold, jigsaw pieces strewn about the cold. And so it's not that easy. No, it's not that easy. Oh, it's not that easy. But we know what we love.
Secrets of Girls, that's a new song, right, Elaine?
That's right.
It's not on your current album, so let's talk a little bit further about your current album, Songs from the River. What do you hope people will hear from this album? What do you want them to walk away with, Songs from the River?
I want them to walk away with the sense that they're not alone in problems that they may have. So I really hope that some song on the album resonates with them and that they get the sense that somebody else is feeling that way too.
Let's talk a little bit further about the diverse experiences that we talked about earlier. You mentioned Spain, Guatemala. Now, in Guatemala, you worked with an orphanage, is that correct?
That's right. I volunteered at an orphanage there.
What a special experience that must have been.
You know, it was interesting. It was really special, and I went down with the best of intentions to try to help people. But I think one of the things you do learn volunteering internationally is that just because you really want to help doesn't mean you're going to be able to help or your skills are going to match what they need. And in fact, I think a lot of the local people could have done what I was trying to do, which was look after the kids better than I was able to. But I was able to bring a little bit of money to the orphanage, and that's what they were looking for in the volunteers. So it was complex.
Was that hard for you to recognize that?
It was difficult. I was young, I was 20, and I really wanted to be doing something good, and it was hard, to recognize that.
Now, one of the songs on your new album touches your experiences in Guatemala. Tell us about that.
Well, the song Diesel is really about the tension that I felt in the small town of Rio Dulce, where the orphanage still is. And the country had just recently come out of a conflict there. And there was still a lot of tension in the air. People carried guns. You would hear gunshots at night. And there was a sense of fear among the people in terms of speaking about anything political. You just wanted to stay away from talking about anything political. And so that's really what the song is about.
Well, let's listen exactly to what the song's about with Diesel.
Diesel rainbows glisten in the coconut sun. My heart scatters like the birds at the sound of a gun. But the children are still playing, so I try to keep my cool. I don't wanna be another white woman fool. You keep the silence, too much talking is taboo. You know full well, but you got no proof. And there's no war, but the violence seems to curdle in the air like gas to a match, just waiting there. Orange-colored captain downs a beer for the chase, speaking bastard Spanish like he owns the place. And even beauty's tainted as she tenses from his stare. There's no innocence in laughter if he's standing there. You keep the silence, too much talking is taboo. You know full well, but you got no proof. And there's no war, but the violence seems to curdle in the air like gas to a match, just waiting there. And it's not the blood, but the silent pain. It's not the rape, but the women that remain. It's not as bad as you see on TV. Oh, it's worse, 'cause you know that it's real and it could be you so easily. You keep the silence, too much talking is taboo. You know full well, but you got no proof. And there's no war, but the violence seems to curdle in the air like gas to a match, just waiting there. You keep the silence, too much talking is taboo. You know full well, but you got no proof. And there's no war, but the violence seems to curdle in the air like gas to a match, just waiting there. Like gas to a match, just waiting there.
And that was Diesel with Elaine Ryan. Elaine, in this interview, we've talked about how you're from Vancouver. You've been to Spain. You've been to Guatemala. Now I can't wait to hear where you're going next.
I am going to be touring Eastern Canada next June, doing a tour of the maritime provinces there.
Oh, that sounds really fun and exciting.
It is. It's going to be great.
Songs from the River. Where can we pick up this album?
You can pick it up on my website at elaineryan.ca. That's ELAINERYAN.ca, which is for Canada, or at cdbaby.com.
Elaine Ryan, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
And also a special thanks to Tom Rowan with the Sound Lab of Greensboro. This is Chrisann Parr for Backyard Records, a label devoted to bringing deserving independent artists to music lovers like you.
The content of this broadcast is the sole property of Backyard Records. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or retransmittal without the expressed written consent of Backyard Records is prohibited.